welcome to Never Seen It. My name is Trent. I'm sitting here with my wife, Betsy.
Hello, everybody.
It is Sunday, so you know what that means. We're going to be covering yet another Oscar-nominated movie for Best Picture. This one is going to be Anatomy of a Fall. Betsy, obviously we have not watched this movie yet. What do you know about it?
So of all 10 of the films, this is one that I actually heard of before the nominations came out, because I think it did play in town here at our local kind of art house theater.
It did, and we also did watch a trailer for this a while back.
Yeah, and it was getting all kinds of buzz. I had heard it was very good. It's one of those movies that it's not up for international picture because the country that it is in picked a different movie, but the movie is so strong unto itself that it managed to get into the Best Picture race.
Yeah, and I remember when we watched the trailer, months and months ago, I figured, okay, this is probably going to be one of those kinds of movies that might sneak into the Best Picture thing, but it will absolutely win Best International or whatever it was. But I didn't know like the background of this.
Oh yeah, it's like a technicality. Sometimes I'm noticing that is happening where a movie has already been selected as the representative for that country.
Yeah.
And then some other movie comes around and starts getting a whole lot of buzz. So like last year it was RRR. That was not the official selection. It just was doing really, really well. Same thing with Anatomy of a Fall. I think this is the selection for England, maybe?
Really?
It's not a country you would expect it to be. That's what I know.
Based on what I do know about the movie, there are a lot, like this is a very just quote unquote European movie.
Oh yeah, on the surface, this is certainly very European because the director is, I think, French. Question mark?
I believe she is.
Justine Triet is.
Well, Triet
sounds like a
sounds
French name.
very French.
And then the star, I think, is German because Sophie Huller, she is in this movie and she's in The Zone of Interest.
Yeah, which is one of the next ones we're going to cover.
Yeah, so we still haven't watched that one. This just happens to be the one that we are able to get now. So we're seeing this one of her two performances first.
You'll notice the ones that are kind of unavailable for anybody are the ones that we're waiting until the end for.
It's like a white whale to get some of these movies. I'm talking to so many people online that are having the same problems as us, and they're in an even easier market than we are.
Yeah.
So it's just the rollout has been a nightmare. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah, and it's because an American distributor hasn't necessarily gotten the rights to the movie yet, whether it be, Netflix to stream it or like an Amazon or an Apple in order to put it up on their service for rental or purchase. Like international movies are a lot harder to do that way. So I can understand why. It just sucks for people like us who have to do a podcast about them.
No, Trent, we get to do a podcast about them.
So that being said, about this movie, what do you know?
My understanding from the trailer is there is a married couple and this man, her husband, dies. And the whole question is, did he fall and it was an accident? Did he jump and he killed himself? Or did she push him? And so the whole mystery around that event is kind of what happens. And I don't know if that happens right away and we're seeing it in flashback, or they're just going about their lives and it happens like at the end of Act 1. But as I understand it, it leaves it up to the viewer, I think.
Really?
I'm not sure, but there's been a lot of people talking about how you can interpret this movie different ways. And I think it's intentional, but it's been winning a lot of awards for the script. So like the screenplay for this is absolutely incredible. I think you'll probably like it for that reason because I think it's like one of those really dialogue driven movies.
Okay. Now, just based on how it is presented in the trailer, it seems like they're almost doing a true crime kind of presentation to it where, they have like old footage of the family when they're younger or maybe when they're dating.
Recreating it.
Something like that. But it could be that they're trying to glom onto this true crime phenomenon that is still happening on other podcasts and whatnot. So they created this fictional thing to kind of fit that mold. That's my understanding anyway. I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, I don't know the trajectory, if it's all about the investigation, if it is mostly about their relationship and the investigation comes much later. I think there's a trial scene.
There is a trial scene. I also don't know if this is told in like a linear fashion where,
Right.
like you said, is it going to show the death and then, you call the cops and then there's an investigation, then there's a trial, then there's a result.
Are we going to see a lot of like perspective and different ways
Yeah.
of how this could have played out?
Yeah, and the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet is that they have a son who is blind. And he is in the trailer, I think he says something about, yeah, I could hear them fighting all the time, but I can't see anything. So he's the only witness to this person's death.
Mm. The only other thing I know is there's a very good dog in this movie.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
a dog?
He's a very good boy. That's fine. I've
Okay.
heard people talking about a dog in Anatomy of a Fall. I don't know what it means. I don't have any context for it. I just know there's a dog.
Or the dog did it.
It's the dog's fault,
It's the dog's
obviously.
fault.
We'll call it now. We haven't even watched the movie. End of podcast.
All right, there it is. There's our prediction. We're going to go and watch Anatomy of a Fall and find out if the dog did it. We'll be right back. And we are back. Betsy, that was Anatomy of a Fall. Did you fall for this movie?
That was terrible.
It was.
Yeah, that movie's incredible.
Yeah.
Like I said, it was very, very dialogue driven. And it is somewhat open to interpretation, mainly because what you think really happened depends entirely on how you feel about this woman. And
Yeah.
even while we were watching it, I could tell that based on the things you were saying out loud, you felt one very specific way. I was not saying
You weren't
out
saying
loud,
anything.
but I think we felt a little bit differently about this character and what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you feel about this one?
Man. Okay. So in this movie, I think a lot of things are true at the same time. So we have an incident where there is a death. It is an unexpected death that happens to this man.
Her husband.
Married to a woman who they have a son together. They live up in the mountains of France. Nobody is really around, and this couple is going through some problems, let's say, and have been for many, many years.
Yeah, the short version is their marriage is not an entirely happy one.
It's not.
And hasn't been for a while.
This is kind of the definition of stay together for the kids.
Yeah. And I think she really loves her husband, but there is a lot to unpack as far as how complicated and real their relationship is.
Yeah, and I think it becomes a lot more complicated, and you could say this about a lot of other kinds of relationships. When one person is successful and the other person is not, when you are going after the same thing. They're both authors.
Yeah.
They're both authors, and the wife is much more successful than the husband, and he's been struggling not only with that, but with the guilt of the thing that happened with their son.
You get the sense that if that accident had gone differently, if their son had been killed, these two wouldn't be together.
Oh, absolutely.
Because he has been living with so much guilt over just him being hit by a motorcycle and now he's blind. And he's not fully blind. He has very minimal
He's
vision.
impaired, yeah.
But he is seriously visually impaired because they
Yeah.
show him like holding things up very close to his eyes, and he can read some things, and he can read his sheet music when he's playing the piano.
Yeah, and the husband has just been languishing ever since that happened. And despite that, the wife hasn't. Like, she did not let the accident really affect her all that much. She doesn't blame anybody but her husband, at least at the time.
She definitely did at the beginning because
Yeah.
that is what you do. You are looking for someone or something to blame.
Some external factor.
Yeah, when something bad happens.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those, it happened. Accidents happen. Yes, he was supposed to go, but he was writing and he was on a roll and he got the babysitter to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's the babysitter's fault. But she doesn't blame the babysitter. She blames the husband. She doesn't blame the motorcyclist. She
Right.
blames the husband. So it is a little bit of a stretch for her to go out of her way to accuse him. But when you are upset and you spend the next year in and out of hospitals trying to help your son
Yeah.
and get him to recuperate in what way he can and adjust to this new way of life, that's a lot. It's a lot to unpack and a lot
Yeah.
of tension. And she goes into great detail about how they both had different coping mechanisms for this.
And really, it is an accident. I mean, one of my best friends, soon after we were out of high school, we were both in college. One of my best friends had just gotten married and was in an accident. And, the short version is she had just gotten married. The husband was the driver. The husband survived, and the wife, my friend, was killed. And, you could have a lot of different reactions to that. You could blame the husband for not having enough sleep the night before because they got up super early and he was really drowsy. And
you could blame the other driver. You could blame 10 minutes of different time.
You could go down so many different roads, but at the end of the day, one person is dead and the other person is not.
Right. And her husband basically has survivor's guilt for something that isn't that. I don't know. He's very guilty about this situation.
He's guilty about what happened to the kid, but I don't think that that's really his problem here.
No.
I think it is a lot of different things where he hasn't been able to get past that, and the wife has.
Yeah. So one of the things in this movie that I kind of identified with, everybody, there are times where they paint her with a really ugly brush.
Sure.
You could easily see this woman and go, well, she is cold and uncaring. And, look at how they fought, and she has a violent temper and all this stuff.
She's just a cold-hearted bitch.
But when she says, you're having a pity party and I'm kind of sick of it, I identify with that. I've had people in my life that they are just anxious people, or they have a lot going on and they just need a shoulder to cry on. And as a person and a friend who is willing to listen, you want to be there for your friends. But after a while, it turns into just complaining. And this might sound super insensitive, and I'm very sorry, but when you have to listen to someone's problems all day, every day, and you offer suggestions and suggestions and suggestions, and all they do is complain more, and they say nothing can ever change,
excuses.
and they make excuses, it gets exhausting.
Yeah, at that point, they know what the problems are.
Yes.
They're just refusing to address those problems.
And in that scene, that was the most amazing scene when they actually cut to the first time we see that husband alive and talking is when they play back the recording of the fight that they had the day before he died. And you see the two of them, and he is saying, you don't support me, and I've had to sacrifice so much, and I just want more time, and I want to reclaim the time for me. And she's like, fine, do it.
Do it.
Fucking
Who's
do
stopping
it.
you?
But the way this is shot and edited, you could also watch this entire scene and go, she's a bitch. And she is unfeeling about this man's plight. And it's all her fault. And, I don't fucking like her. When you are listening to just the audio versus watching it, even, you could see how the jury would have a different interpretation of this woman sitting in front of them. Because I can go through this one scene and see two different ways of viewing her. Because I've been this person. When you and I have disagreements, as every married couple does, you go for the kill sometimes. Even if you don't want to, you just need to dig it in. You feel like a piece of shit after you do it.
Yeah, and
people fight dirty though.
Sure, and at that point, you just kind of have to, throw up your shoulders and say, "Okay, come on, what are you doing?"
Yeah, and there is a lot of that in that one scene alone.
That scene, I would say, is the clincher for her getting the nomination in the first place because holy shit,
Sandra Huller is incredible in this movie. If there were justice in the world, she would also be in the talks for frontrunner in this race. I think she is just kind of also there, which is really shitty because, she's doing all of it in this movie. And all of these things I'm saying about having it be open to interpretation doesn't work if she is not giving you hints of each of those emotions.
In some cases, she is just like a blank canvas. You can't really...
You're not getting through.
You can't get through there because there's just no emoting there. And when she does, it kind of seems like she's faking it.
Yeah. Or there's that scene when they really get confrontational in the courtroom and her entire body language changes. Like she's sitting there and her arms are crossed and she becomes very defensive. And then she takes off her jacket. She gets more animated
She
in those
becomes
scenes.
author.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then there's also the element you pointed out. She doesn't cry very much in this movie, but she says at the beginning, I'm so sick of crying. And the trial isn't for a year later. You think she hasn't done her share of crying and she's just sort of over it by now? Some people are like that.
In some cases, yeah. But I
we
would say
talked-
early on, she did not really emote all that much at all.
But that's what I'm saying. Like we talked about it in past lives. In that movie, she's like, I was crying all the time. I was a big crybaby. Nobody cared, so I stopped crying.
I got over it.
That's kind of what this is, where she at the beginning was crying all the time.
Yeah.
But as an editor, as a director, Justine Triet is making the decision to not show us that part of this process. We don't see her grieving. We just see her reacting to finding the body, being interviewed, and then cut to however many days later when she brings this lawyer in.
But you do see Daniel crying, and that's where she comes in there and tries to comfort the kid. Again, you just don't see the anguish there. There's nothing there
But
that we're
sometimes-
seeing anyway.
But sometimes parents do that for the sake of their kids. Kids do not want to see their
Sometimes.
parent be useless, a devastated wreck that cannot parent them anymore. You can't have two people in this situation who are both a miserable wreck. So mom has to suck it up for the sake of her son. So yeah, you see this woman and she is not crying. Your instant response is, well, she's cold. She's a brick wall. She's a stoic German. Like clearly that's this woman's problem and she's kind of a bitch. When in fact, it could be just the opposite. She is trying to keep her
like
shit
she
together.
is the strongest woman in existence. Yeah.
And all of this entire movie, if you think she pushed him or you think he fell, if you think she got away with something, depends on how you feel about her as you watch this movie.
Yeah, and I think, if we want to just say it here, me sitting here right now, do I think that woman pushed that guy or hit him in the head or did whatever to cause his death? No, I do not.
I think that they had a bad relationship. I don't know if she would be violent enough to do something about it.
Also, did you see the size of the man?
Right. Or if she did, it was completely an accident. But if that's the case, why wouldn't she have said, he fell, I was fighting with him, and it was an accident?
Right.
There's a lot of ways that things could be left out of this. But yeah, she might have gotten away with something. I don't think she did, but maybe that's the brilliance of this movie is maybe she fucking did get away with something and I'm feeling actual sympathy for her when I shouldn't be.
And you don't have to like the woman to
No.
believe that she did not murder her husband.
No.
And I don't. I really don't like this woman. So me sitting here right now, I would say 80% of this movie, I was thinking, yeah, there's probably going to be something to come out that say that somehow it will come out that she did it. But then they make this theory about him being depressed. They make this little kernel thing come true.
They blossom the idea.
They make it a possibility after the prosecution was trying to dismiss that idea out of hand. After that, there's your reasonable doubt right there. So how the hell can you convict a woman when there is this giant possibility that, yeah, he just threw himself out a window? It happens every day.
He was also working up in the attic. He could have fallen. Like there's still multiple ways this could have gone down. And because it's suspicious and inconclusive, you don't really have a choice but to indict her, to get her on the stand and try to see what happened. Try to get it out of her.
There's absolutely plausibility that, yes, she did it because she's the only person in the goddamn house.
But you think a person wouldn't murder their husband when their son is home? Like, that's the other thing. Like, you have to really believe this woman is heinous to believe that she would kill her husband in broad daylight when her son is around.
Also, would he do, and they brought it up in the movie, would he do such a thing when the kid is in the house too? Because he would have been able to see the kid leave with the dog.
Yeah, the common theme is those two love their son.
Yes.
Both of them would do anything for their child. For anybody to say, well, she would kill him or he would kill himself, it's tricky. It is really tricky Yeah, even as we're talking about it, I find myself going around in circles. I was like, well, maybe he did fall. Maybe he did kill himself. Maybe she accidentally pushed him. Like, there's so many things that we just don't get enough information to make that decision. It's
Which is why you can't convict her.
no. And that's, like you said, reasonable doubt. So I do want to say this movie is interesting from an American perspective because we are watching a French version of
French court.
the law,
Yeah.
the court.
Yeah.
And this is really weird compared to American court style.
I like this better.
I was trying to figure out, okay, so I know who the prosecution is. I know who the defendant is. I know the main judge, but there are other people up there that are also in robes. So are there other judges or are those members of the jury? How many members of the jury were there?
All I can do here is just speculate because I don't know of French law. So I think that the person who is actually talking on the bench, that's the quote unquote judge in our parlance, and the rest of the people up on that bench are other jurors. And then everybody behind in the peanut gallery are just witnesses. They're just people there to watch the trial.
And it's a small courtroom, too, for considering how high profile this case would be. She's a celebrated author.
You don't need much.
Yeah, but usually I'm used to seeing really large courtrooms, I guess. Because again, I'm used to American court drama. I am not used to a European style of court.
Yeah, when it is going to be one of these courtroom dramas, like you said, and you're going to have an entire group of people. And back, it was large enough, I would say. I don't think there's a big difference. It was just the fact that this bench is huge.
Yeah, the bench takes up a lot of the room.
Yeah.
And the people who come in and testify have to stand there. So they stand in the center. But the weird part to me was the back and forth where they would ask the person who is testifying some questions. Then they would ask the defendant some questions. Then sometimes the defendant would talk to the person giving testimony. And that would never fly in America.
No.
They always say, shut up, objection. You can't talk to them. You can't talk directly. You always have to talk through your lawyers.
Yeah, and the judge there is saying to the defendant, you need to answer that question.
Yeah.
Like you are constantly on the stand when you are on trial here.
You are not just, you don't get up and talk once. You have to respond to questions as they are asked to you every time a question arises. This kind of trial felt very much more on the attack. Like, I just felt like everything that prosecutor was doing was very aggressive in a way I'm not used to.
It's argumentative.
Yeah.
Like these people are going back and forth, not only with the defendant, but the defense and the prosecution are going back and forth too. They don't have like the formal I object or sustained and any of that shit.
They're did just a little, but
they're just kind of going back and forth, and the judge will pipe up every so often.
Yeah, every once in a while, even she would say, I don't mean to interrupt, but you're getting this wrong and I have to say something.
Yeah.
And the judge didn't stop her. In any American courtroom drama, they would say, sit down, I'll hold you in contempt of court, get her out of here. It would turn into a whole different thing. So there were points of this movie where during the trial, so much is going on very quickly. Like the part where he grabs the book that she wrote and he wants to read a passage. There's like 6 people talking in this little part over each other.
Some people are trying to get him to stop. Some people are trying to get him to get to the point.
He's yelling about how I do have a point.
Yeah. Get to the context. Here's your context right here for you.
But yeah, this whole time, when you're watching this trial, because it feels argumentative and because it feels very aggressive, in those scenes, I was very sympathetic with her because I'm like, they are assuming she is guilty and attacking her with everything that they've got.
That's the prosecution. That's what happens here too.
Again, I get it's their job, but there are different approaches. And this lawyer in particular is really intense versus other movies I've seen where you can make the same point without being so in your face about it.
Yeah, and I would say the rest of the trial kind of went how I expected. Like you're going to have your expert witnesses come in and they create all these recreations, and even before the trial began, they had the reenactments of the events, and you have the kid in there. The one thing that would not fly in an American court is having the child testify at his mother's trial.
Or
That would
even-
not ever happen.
Or even staying with her. Like, yes, they have a court-appointed guardian, but
Sure.
it's such a tricky line. But I think in America, they would have yoinked that kid out of that house and stuck him with someone else.
Definitely. Whenever there is a situation like that where there might have been a murder between parents,
Or-
then yeah, the kid would have been taken by social services and wait until the end of the trial before they are reunited.
Yeah, it's very complicated because obviously this kid has one parent. They rely on this one parent. Yes, there are a lot of questions happening, but the kid doesn't have anything to do with it other than he is a witness to what happened.
Yeah. And yeah, you can ask him questions, you can interview him prior to the trial, but he is not going to be on the fucking stand.
And the fact that he does it and then he insists on being in that room the rest of the time. Like this child, this kid, again, the acting, he is amazing. Like
They make him different in Europe, Betsy. This kid is supposedly 11 years old in this, the character anyway, and he is acting very adult.
well, if something like that happens to you, your childhood's over. Like you just grow the hell up. And
Yeah.
by the end of the movie, he speaks so eloquently and understands so thoroughly the situation that he is in that there's just not really an ounce of childhood left in him.
And
He grew up.
He took it upon himself to do this experiment with the dog in order to prove something is true in this trial.
But yeah, because he's not being told what's really going on. Parents don't tell the kid exactly what's happening between them. So as he is insisting on sitting and listening to this trial,
Yeah.
he is getting all kinds of new information. And the prosecution gets upset because he's like, oh, well, he's just, suddenly remembering things because he heard something. Yeah, that's how the memory works. He didn't
Sure.
think anything of the dog throwing up and acting lethargic.
Because dogs puke sometimes.
Yeah. But then he hears all this new information and suddenly he has context for something he didn't understand before.
Yeah, and they when he's in judge's chambers, he is being told, "Oh, we're not going to have you in the trial for these subsequent days because we're going to start saying some real shit here." You don't think that he's heard enough of that? His dad is fucking dead, and he's been going through enough here. He can take a couple of more days where mom and dad are fighting.
Yeah, what was the thing he said? We don't want to hurt you anymore. And he's like, I've already been hurt.
It's like,
Just bring it on.
Don't even bother.
I'm going to find out no matter what you do. I'm going to read it in a paper. I'm going to see it on the news. I'm going to be obsessed with this.
I'm going to be obsessed. Yeah.
If you do not let me just hear it for myself. But yeah, that kid in this movie is really, really incredible. And it sucks that he gets caught in the middle of all of this. I kind of figured when they were just about to start that one day and the judge gets called away in an emergency and then he appears afterwards. They didn't say what that was about right away. It's not until the very end of the day that she says, I've decided to let him testify again.
Yeah, and that's happened on Friday. They're going to have the kid testify again on Monday, which to my understanding here is the kid told the social worker and the kid go to the judge and say, "Hey, my mom came to me in the middle of the night and talked about the case, so I'm being honest and upfront here and telling you what she told me, what we talked about."
You thought he was ratting her out?
I don't think it was that. I think it was just more, hey, I don't want to have her get in any more trouble. This is what we talked about. We didn't really talk about the trial. She was drunk and it's fine. I think there he's being a mature adult by doing this.
There were so many moments where I thought something was going to happen that didn't because, again, I'm so used to the twists and turns of American trial movies.
Sure.
I thought maybe that kid was going to say, my mom talked to me and you can't let me be around her because now I'm starting to distrust her. Or at the end of the movie that there would be this big reveal of what really happened and she got away with it and here's how she did it. But
or I've been the one recording everything.
Yeah, it's not that kind of a movie though.
No.
So when he finally does get on the stand, he is such a grown-up about the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's probably that testimony that helps her get acquitted, it still is going to create this weird thing in their relationship for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, and you don't know what this kid actually thinks because is a possibility that this kid actually believes that his mom killed his dad. He's heard all the arguments. He's heard them get violent. He heard the tape of them arguing and getting violent. And there was also that conversation between him and the social worker about he needs to decide basically what to say and what not to say. And if you're going to say a thing, it's either going to help her or hurt her.
Yeah.
And he chose to help her.
His final speech is basically, when I think about my mom doing that, it doesn't make sense. When I think about my dad doing that, it does make some sense.
Now that he had the realization about the conversation that they had in the car on the way to the vet.
Yeah. So one of the things about the people interviewing this kid, obviously he is a witness. You want to ask the questions. And at the beginning, he is so certain and he says, this is what happened and I know where I was standing. And it's not until they start doing the reenactment that he says, wait, I made a mistake. And it's possible he genuinely made a mistake because he's a fucking child.
I was just going to say, he's 11.
Who went through a goddamn traumatic experience.
And he found his dad.
The lack of sympathy from everybody. Nobody here is treating him like a child. They're all treating him like an adult.
Totally.
Who could be just lying to them, as opposed to a kid who went through a trauma and maybe made a mistake. They're just like, well, you're no help to us because you said you were so sure.
I thought you said this. Now you're going to hurt our case.
Oh,
well, fuck off.
That was disgusting. I hated that. And like when they were reenacting the sequence and they say, oh, well, we translated this into French, so it's easier for everyone, even though they were all speaking English.
Right.
And she's like, I didn't yell. I wasn't yelling. I'm not going to participate in a lie, basically. They say, we're just doing this for science. We need to know the decibel level for him to have heard you. You know, there's a lot here where there's questions. Maybe she was louder than she's willing to admit. Maybe
she got kind of loud on that recording.
Maybe the timing was a little different than they're remembering. But when you find someone dead, whether you had something to do with it or not, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah,
and your details are going to get fuzzy.
And altogether, trying to prove one side or the other, it is just a matter of plausibility. You have to enter a kernel of doubt into the mind of the jury. And at the same time, you have to introduce the possibility that what the prosecution is trying to prove is also true. You served on a jury. I almost got onto a fucking manslaughter trial.
Like 3 weeks.
I was 3 people away from being on a manslaughter trial. Yours was a lot easier. You actually went through it all. It was an assault thing, right?
Yeah, and it was like 4 days in total. But yours would have been very,
Mine
very
would have been
different.
a 3-week almost murder trial.
Yeah, and this movie easily could have been a manslaughter trial.
Yeah. And I guess the result of the manslaughter trial was he was convicted on some things, but he was not convicted on the main thing.
But that's most trials. They will try to get you for whatever they can if that's their job. Like the trial I was on, there were like 4 or 5 counts, and some of them just didn't make any fucking sense.
Some
and
of them were
like,
ridiculous.
Immediately, no. Just no. That's not even probable. It's like 2 people's words against each other. There's no physical evidence.
What did you say? Like that was somebody used like a broom handle as a deadly weapon or something like that?
The big argument was, is a broom a deadly weapon? That was the argument because the wording in the accusation, like the law, it was assault with a deadly weapon. And the person had been hit in the head with a broom. And there was only one other person there. And the reason they gave was they had broken some glass. They were sweeping up the glass. And then they hit the other person with the broom in the head. And the argument shifted when somebody in the room said, basically, most of the people in the room were like, yeah, we think this person is guilty.
Yeah, but they did the deed, but they didn't do it in that way.
But there were a few people stuck on deadly weapon and were like, anything can be a deadly weapon if you wield it as such.
Your own hands are deadly weapons.
Somebody made the point, think about when you're sweeping, how you hold a broom. Now think about how you would have to hit somebody with a broom. You suddenly go from hands down to hands up.
Yeah.
Like you completely change your grip to be able to swing that. You can't swing a broom when it's down. You would never hit them in the way you want to if you mean to hit them. But there was another one where it's like, oh, he had a knife and he took out his knife and waved it at her. But nobody had a knife on him when he got arrested. And
Wasn't there also a like
oh, it was just
false
nonsense.
imprisonment thing where they got
I-
like locked into a closet?
It was a lot of like, I
They
don't
threw
even
everything
remember.
at the wall.
It was a lot of stuff you couldn't prove.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the stuff that, oh, well, he had a knife on him. Okay, but he wasn't arrested with a knife, but your defense was he took the knife out of his pocket. How could he take the knife out of his pocket but still have it on him later? It was
Yeah.
like a really gaff-ridden accusation.
The short version of the manslaughter thing for me was that this guy had been a convicted felon and he was attacked by another guy. The other guy had a gun, and the felon who was on trial for manslaughter took the gun away from the other guy who was attacking him, used the gun to shoot the other man, and he killed him. So in that split second, he was convicted of possessing a firearm when you're a felon.
And a firearm that's not registered to you.
Exactly. So at that moment, yes, he was guilty of that crime, and that's what he got convicted of. He was not convicted of manslaughter because the other guy was trying to kill him.
Yeah, you Googled that later because
Yeah.
you didn't serve on the trial.
No, I did not serve on the jury, and I wanted to know what the hell happened, and yeah, that's what happened.
But you also had to be a witness at a trial once.
I did, yeah. There was an incident in our old house. The short version is it was a road rage incident where two vehicles were chasing each other. The guy in front who was being chased hit the curb in front of our house. The car died. They got out of the car and started running. And the person chasing him in the other car also got out of their vehicle and started shooting at the first person. Of course, this is all happening in front of our goddamn house.
In the middle of the day.
In the middle of the day on a Sunday or a Saturday afternoon or some shit. Betsy's at work. I'm calling 911 to try to get people out here. And sure enough, you know what? And at the time, no one came to our door to interview me. No one knocked on the door. And
you
asked
called
me,
the cops.
It happened right in front of the fucking house.
Yeah.
I called the cops. So they didn't interview me on the day, but months later, right before the trial, a detective came to the door and played back my 911 tape to me and just wanted to confirm that what I said was true. And I said, yep, sure is. I'll take you out to the front where it all happened. I'll tell you what I saw and where I was. I was inside hitting the deck.
All this to say, memory is a funny thing. Trauma is a difficult thing. And what we went through in those different experiences and what these people are going through in this movie, yeah, it's what you believe. It's what you believe. At the end of the day, it's like, do you believe she's capable? Does he believe his mother is capable? Did she do it or not? Well, that's kind of not the point. It's how do you feel about her as a person and her history of infidelity or her drinking or their fight? The fact that she stole his idea for the book.
Oh, yeah. I got a big reaction there.
And now they're throwing that back in her face.
Yeah.
But she literally said he knew. He wasn't going to fucking use it. And I thought it was a good idea. So I took it. And I asked him. And then he decides that he's pissed off about it.
Yeah, so I can
leave
see.
it to a man to decide after the fact he is mad about something.
I had a big reaction to that whole thing, but I can absolutely see how, you know what, dude, you got a great idea. Why don't you use it? Well, I want to be all butthurt about everything, so she's going to go off and use it.
But that's the thing. If she had used the idea and it had crashed and burned and it didn't see the light of day or it wasn't successful, he wouldn't have given the shit.
And she was trying to encourage him to continue it on because she said, hey, you had a really good idea. Why don't you finish it?
Yeah, this has great legs. Do something with it. Well, I'm so busy and I
have no time.
I stopped teaching and I have to take care of my son. And
Let's
she said,
talk about it.
Yeah, and she said, you didn't have to do that. I love that you're doing that. It's great that you have this relationship with our son. But also, don't complain about the decisions that you made that are now affecting your life. And it's back and forth. And as I'm talking about it, it's like, yeah, no, I'm defending her, but then I'm defending him. Like they're both just kind of in a marriage. It's what it is to be married. You have to balance your lives. And sometimes one person is going to take the lead and then they have to step back. And then the other person is going to take the lead. That's what a partnership is. That's what a marriage is.
half of this movie is the murder, the trial, the death,
Oh,
whatever
the
you want to
murder
call
you
it.
just called it.
Whatever you want to call it. The other half is their relationship and analyzing it from the future looking backwards. Because as they say in the trial, he's not there to defend himself. He's not there to enter in testimony. Yeah, I was on depression medication and I thought about killing myself, or I did, or I didn't. Did you also notice that when the psychiatrist got up there, they say, well, in French, we don't say committing suicide when you're successful. When you commit suicide, it means the same thing whether you are successful or not.
You tried
did
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, we have talked about the non-English movies that we are covering for these 10 nominees for Best Picture. This being the second of the 3 movies that are kind of not in English for the most part. This one uses language in a different way because she is German. Her native tongue is German.
And she never speaks it in this movie.
She marries a French man after they meet when he is in London at some university teaching. Then they move to France after it doesn't work out in London.
I think it's after the accident with their son.
Okay, yeah.
So, because they said something about being in the hospital for a year in London. So, I think
Okay.
after that, they moved back to France because it's where he felt he could best help his son. Because that's where he grew up. He knows the territory. He
Yeah.
knows how to be a good dad in this environment.
And they address that, she isn't speaking her native tongue there.
And she doesn't even speak French. Like, she
And
can speak French.
Yeah, like it's kind of half and half.
Yeah. They speak English at home, though. It's the great unifier.
Right. And even like the kid doesn't speak English. It's just the parents that do.
Well, yeah, and if they moved there when he was about 5, that would be the only language he speaks probably is French.
I suppose, yeah.
He goes to school, his dad speaks French. Those are the people he's around all the time.
Europe, man.
Yeah, because he doesn't really speak English to his mom.
No, never.
She speaks French to him or she speaks
Mm-hmm.
English. Like, he clearly understands English,
Sure.
but like she'll speak in English and he'll respond in French. Bilingual children are fascinating.
Not really anything that we get around here anyway.
No. I wish I could speak French. I think
Oh,
this
God.
movie would be really, really a lot easier for me to follow if I could understand more of the language. Like, I know enough,
Yeah.
like, little words that I catch here and there.
It was a relief when they switched over to English because then I didn't have to stare at the subtitles.
That's the thing about watching movies like this is you almost have to watch them twice. Once to actually
Yeah.
read it and get what's going on. The second time to look at everything else.
Yeah,
Because I'm
because-
sure there's so much of the
Yeah.
direction that we missed because we're reading.
Or you even mentioned like the body language of her at the trial. Like I'm sure I missed a lot of that because I was just looking at the subtitles.
I just happened to glance over from the subtitles and she looked very, very protective. That's when you're
Yeah.
crossing your arms in that situation, it means something very different.
Well, like talking about her behavior, we haven't really mentioned when we are introduced, like the very beginning of the movie when she's being interviewed by this I guess literature student.
Yes, somebody who knows her work, wants to talk to her, has 1,000 questions.
Yeah. And they're sitting there for 5 hours. Did you notice that? On her phone, the recording?
I thought it said 5 minutes.
No, it was 5 hours. Like she had been there forever.
And had a ton of questions.
I feel like that was 5 hours.
I'd have to go back and check that. But the long and short of it is her husband didn't want this woman in their house. And so he sabotages it for her by playing a loud reggae instrumental version of PIMP.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know that that's what that song
No, you
was.
didn't. Yeah.
No, I don't listen to rap music, Trent. But it is,
I was very familiar with that. I knew what it was.
It is funny that you can learn so much about the husband based on that and the fact they named their dog Snoop.
Yeah.
You can read so much about this man that we do not really get to know by those 2 facts alone.
Snoop Dogg.
They have a Snoop dog. He was in fact a good dog.
He was a good dog.
And I
yes.
was going to be real mad if that dog died. I was like, don't you dare kill that fucking dog.
He didn't do anything wrong.
He did. I was like, what is this kid doing? What is he? No, why would you give him aspirin? I get it. It was experimenting, but maybe don't do something that's gonna kill your fucking dog.
He's still a kid at the end of the day.
I don't need a movie where the dog dies. I'm too sad as it is. Like, I already, as it was, got emotional twice in this movie.
Okay.
And one of them was after he did that, and he said, but you see, I figured it out.
Yeah,
There
when
was the-
he's telling her about it.
Oh my God, that just fucking ruined me.
Well, and I would say that is a very cathartic thing too, because you have it in your mind. Oh my God, my mom might have killed my dad. And this is the thing that proves it.
Or at least proves that she's telling the truth.
Sure.
This
at least
proves-
one thing is true.
This proves that when she said he took too many aspirin and he threw up, the dog ate the vomit and he was acting like this. And I've made conclusive evidence for myself, at least my own self-satisfaction, that that's what happened. But thank God they made the dog puke and the dog survived, because I was not ready for that. I was not going to be okay.
Yeah, and like I thought, like, when the lawyer came over and started asking questions for the very, very first time, he wanted her to say exactly what she said to the cops. And then she started to add extra things in there that she didn't actually say.
Yeah, like he played the music to piss me off.
Right.
She
Like,
said that to this guy because they're friends. They've known each other for a while.
yeah, and it's almost as if she was trying to get like some extra sympathy that, oh yeah, he was an asshole.
Yeah, he was acting like a dick and he was doing it to piss me off.
Yeah, so let's not cry over that fucking asshole.
Yeah, but it's because he is a lawyer. He's like, you need to keep to the facts.
Yeah.
Tell me what you told them. Do not elaborate.
And that right there was the first thing that planted the seed of doubt for me, whether or not she was telling the truth. Because if she's starting to embellish and saying extra things to the lawyer to try to get him on her side, then what else is she doing here?
Well, and they don't establish how she knows this guy. But throughout the movie, there's a few scenes where there's kind of a spark between them. Were you picking up on that
There's
vibe?
a little bit of intimacy there. And at the end, man, you could have even taken it a little step further by thinking, oh shit, did she off her husband so that she can shack up with the lawyer?
Yeah, there's again, interpretive evidence here, because
Right.
they have the scene where they're drinking like they had an intense day. So they're both at her house drinking by the fire. And there's just these like quiet moments where they're just sort of intensely looking at each other. And at the end, when she's acquitted,
Yeah.
they're left alone at the table and he sort of embraces her. And then she holds his face and it's just quiet. And it's just like, are they going to fucking kiss right now? Because I genuinely thought that was going to happen. And I was really happy when it didn't, because
Sure.
it would have really changed my opinion about her.
Yeah.
Even though her husband's been dead a year,
Yeah,
it
and
doesn't matter. It would
think
still
about
be
that.
weird.
Think about that though. For that little thing to happen, you would have started to question the entirety
Yeah.
of what just happened.
Yeah, the entire movie shifts if those two make out right now.
Right. That just tells me that this was a really good movie.
It was a really good movie.
Betsy, did you have anything else to talk about before we get out of here?
No, I think I've said what I wanted to say. I'm really glad this made the cut, because this is the kind of movie that you and I are not just going to go out of our way to watch unless someone says you really need to see this movie. And
For us, this is a great movie to analyze because, oh my God, like our minds are just going a mile a minute here.
I think this one also is one that bears repeating, as I said, not just because of the language barrier, but because there's so much dialogue and so much to unpack that there's a lot of stuff we easily could have missed.
And there probably were. Like, we haven't talked about the fact that they were having money problems too, which is another big thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors adding to the stresses on their marriage.
And the fact, oh geez, the fact that they try to deny her bail, like that is, I understand. Like, why would you ever want to give bail to anybody, whether it be male or female, mother or father? Why wouldn't you deny bail to an accused murderer?
Yeah, it's tricky.
That's crazy.
It's fucking tricky.
All right, I think this is where we're going to start talking about Oscars here. Betsy, what do you got for this movie?
So this movie is up for 5 Academy Awards. This is five. This is up for Best Motion Picture, Best Achievement in Directing, Best Performance by an Actress in a Leading Role, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Achievement in Film Editing.
You know, I would say all 5 of those are deserving.
Absolutely. Like I said, this movie would feel very different if it was directed differently, if it was edited differently. Like there's some really interesting things she's doing with the direction where you're definitely a voyeur. So like there's certain moments where you're from like the fucking dog's perspective. Why are we following the dog through the crowd? I don't know, but here we are. He's a whole character.
And even in the courtroom, like the camera is positioned in the defense attorney's box, but then you're also kind of over in the prosecutor, you're in the peanut gallery.
And you're kind of behind people looking past their heads. Like they have heads in the frame, which most people would hate that. Like, what? Get that guy's head out of here.
Well, and like when the kid is on the stand, the camera is kind of shifting from the left to the right when the prosecutor and the defense are talking at each other. Like that was really intense too.
Yeah. And the way it's all edited together adds to your doubts of, did she do it? Why are they like this? Why is everyone yelling? What's happening?
And we've already talked about how the best actress is very much deserving, so we don't have to rehash that. And just the fact that, the writing here, the screenplay itself is very unique. I was wrong in the assumption that this was going to go down like a weird real crime direction. None of that was here, but hey, I guess that's how you market a movie.
No, but it already won at the Golden Globes for screenplay. I would say this is going to be near the top, if not the top.
It's really good.
Because it's really, really good. And you love a dialogue movie, Trent.
I love me a talkie.
You love a talkie, and this absolutely qualifies. So I will be interested to see if this one walks away with any awards on Oscar night.
Alrighty, well, I think that's where we're going to end Anatomy of a Fall. If you would like to talk to us about Oscar movies, the email address is neverseenitpod@gmail.com. No emails today. However, we did get a response about the last movie we covered, Poor Things, from Rick on Twitter.
Yeah, so my brother Rick was kind enough to reach out. He also was just able to see this movie, and he responded, "At times, it felt like a sincere version of the jokes people make about art house movies. The black and white opening, the constant fisheye lenses, the bizarre side characters. It had some great performances, but set up some themes of class and wealth that it ignored in Act 3.
I do like the point about this is exactly what, people who don't watch art house movies, this is what they think an art house movie looks like and feels like and sounds like.
It's kind of a joke from the director on behalf of people who like art house movies. It's an interesting interpretation, and you're right, there are some themes that probably don't pay off as far as men in class and all of those things, but
some of it is kind of implied there and you can pick up on it, but they don't go the full way.
They could have really beat you over the head with, men suck and capitalism is bad.
Right. Well, thank you, Rick, for the response on Twitter. If you would like to respond there as well, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. You can find all of the links to get to our social media stuff, along with a link to go to our Patreon page, patreon.com/neverseenitpod. We just put out our Valentine's edition of Real Love. We covered Dirty Dancing for that episode.
We sure did.
You can go and find out all my thoughts about Don't Put Baby in a Corner.
But yes, join us for that and 3 other exclusive shows to Patreon. Once again, patreon.com/neverseenitpod.
Plus bonuses. We put out how we sound a little bit different now is because we have a brand new audio interface. We were kind of fucking around with that. We just posted something last week with us doing a little bit of a fake episode, if you will.
We are professionals doing professional shit.
And check that out. We're having a lot of fun over at patreon.com/neverseenitpod. But you already know that because you're going to go there right now and pay us $5 a month for exclusive access to all of that content. But Betsy, that is going to be it for this edition of Never Seen It. We will be back next week with our penultimate episode. American Fiction is next up, so catch us next week on Never Seen It. My name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
And we'll catch you then.
Bye.